The descent to the planet's surface was anything but smooth. The shuttle shook violently as it plunged through a storm of ash and lightning, the atmosphere roiling with energy. Tessa clutched the edge of her seat, the green glyph from the Harbinger etched in her mind. The crew was silent, each member grappling with the gravity of their mission. "This planet wasn't like this when we arrived," muttered Lieutenant Jorah, the pilot. Her knuckles were white as she gripped the controls. "It's as if the entire environment is reacting to us." "It is," Tessa said, her voice distant. "The Harbinger said the veil is weakening. This might be what happens when the bound begin to stir." "Comforting thought," Jorah said grimly, fighting to keep the shuttle steady. Commander Vren's voice cut through the tense atmosphere. "We knew this wouldn't be easy. Focus on the mission. We land, we assess, and we act. No distractions." The shuttle broke through the clouds, revealing the planet's surface, an alien wasteland of jagged obsidian peaks and glowing fissures. The terrain pulsed faintly, as though alive, and in the distance, a massive structure jutted into the sky. It was unlike anything they had seen before, a cathedral of stone and light that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "That's it," Tessa whispered, her heart pounding. "That's the source." As the shuttle landed, the team disembarked, weapons at the ready. The air was heavy with a tangible energy that made it hard to breathe. The glyph from the Harbinger appeared again, this time projected from Tessa's wrist device, guiding them toward the monolithic structure. "What kind of entity gives us directions like GPS?" muttered Sergeant Hale, his rifle scanning the horizon. "An impatient one," Vren replied. "Stay alert. This isn't over." The team advanced cautiously, navigating the uneven terrain. The fissures beneath their feet radiated an unsettling warmth, and faint whispers seemed to drift through the air, just on the edge of perception. Tessa shivered, feeling as though unseen eyes were watching their every move. They reached the base of the structure, its surface smooth and cold despite the heat emanating from the ground. A massive doorway loomed before them, carved with symbols similar to the glyph. The light from Tessa's wrist device intensified and the door began to hum. "What's happening?" Hale demanded, taking a step back. "It's responding to her," Jorah said, her voice hushed. "She's the key." The door creaked open with an agonizing slowness, revealing a cavernous interior bathed in green light. The air inside was even heavier, pressing down on them like an invisible force. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, as if the bound were trying to communicate or warn them. Tessa stepped forward, drawn by the light. "This is it. The veil's core must be inside." The team followed, their footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. The walls were covered in intricate carvings depicting a cosmic battle between the keepers and the bound. The imagery was chaotic and brutal, with the bound portrayed as shifting, amorphous beings of shadow. "Looks like they didn't go down easily," Hale remarked, his voice tight. "They didn't go down at all," Tessa corrected. "The keepers sealed them here because they couldn't destroy them." At the center of the chamber stood a massive pedestal, atop which floated a crystalline sphere. It pulsed with the same rhythm as the glyph, and the whispers coalesced into a single voice that resonated through the room. "You dare enter the sanctum of the veil," it said, deep and layered, as if a chorus of voices spoke in unison. "Have you come to restore the prison, or to doom the galaxy?" Vren stepped forward, his weapon raised. "We came because we had no choice. The veil is failing, and the Harbinger sent us to stop it." The voice laughed, a sound that sent chills through them. "The Harbinger's faith in mortals is misplaced. The bound cannot be contained by flesh and blood, turn back, or be consumed." Tessa's jaw tightened. "We can't turn back. If we don't act, everything dies. Tell us what we need to do." The sphere's light dimmed, and the room seemed to darken. "If you seek to restore the veil, you must bind yourselves to its essence, but beware, the cost is great. Once bonded, you will carry the burden of the bound's fury. Their whispers will haunt you. Their power will tempt you." "Tempt us?" Hale repeated, gripping his weapon. "What does that mean?" "It means the veil doesn't just keep the bound in," Tessa said, realization dawning. "It absorbs their essence. If we bond with it, we become part of the prison." Vren's expression was grim. "So it's a one-way trip." The voice spoke again. "Decide quickly. The veil crumbles and the bound awaken. Delay and all is lost." The team exchanged glances, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. Finally, Vren turned to Tessa. "You're the one who made contact with the Harbinger. Can you do this?" Tessa hesitated, fear battling with resolve. "I'll try. But if I fail..." "You won't," Vren said firmly. "We're with you." She stepped toward the pedestal, the whispers growing louder with each step. As she reached out to touch the sphere, the light intensified, enveloping her and the team in a blinding glow. The whispers turned to screams, and the ground beneath them shook violently. And then, silence. Tessa opened her eyes expecting darkness, but instead, she was surrounded by an infinite expanse of swirling light and shadow. The whispers were gone, replaced by an eerie stillness that felt even more unsettling. She floated weightlessly, her body glowing faintly with the same green energy as the glyph. "Where am I?" she murmured, her voice echoing into the void. A figure emerged from the swirling light. It was not human, nor fully solid, but a shape constantly shifting. A fusion of ethereal light and shadow. Its voice resonated deep and layered with both the wisdom of an ancient being and the fury of a storm. "You are within the veil," it said. "This is the boundary between existence and oblivion, where the bound are held. You have chosen to bond with its essence. Now you must prove your worth." Tessa clenched her fists, her courage bolstered by the thought of the crew waiting for her. "What do I have to do?" The figure extended an amorphous hand and the swirling void coalesced into a vision of the galaxy. Stars shimmered in delicate patterns, a beautiful, fragile dance of light and life. But as Tessa watched, shadowy tendrils snaked outward, snuffing out stars one by one. "The bound hunger," the figure said. "They seek to consume all that exists. To contain them, you must carry their burden, bind their essence to yourself." Tessa hesitated, her chest tightening. "What happens to me if I do this?" "You will not remain as you are," it replied. "The bound's essence will reshape you, testing your resolve. Their power will become yours, but so will their fury. You must master it, or it will master you." The vision shifted again, showing her the faces of her crew. Vren, Jorah, Hale, all fighting desperately against a tide of shadow creatures pouring from the fissures of the planet's surface. Their weapons flashed in the chaos, but they were being overwhelmed. "They need you," the figure said. "Decide quickly." Tessa took a deep breath, fear warring with determination. "I'll do it, whatever it takes." The figure extended its hand again, this time touching her chest. Pain exploded through her, a searing, burning agony that threatened to consume her mind. Images flooded her consciousness, endless battles, shattered worlds, and the bound's relentless hunger for destruction. But amidst the chaos, she found something else. A flicker of light, small but unwavering. It was her resolve, her humanity, the very essence of who she was. Clinging to it, she pushed back against the storm of darkness, refusing to let it overwhelm her. Outside the veil, the ground split open as the bound surged forward. Vren and the team fought desperately, their weapons tearing through the shadowy forms, but for every creature they destroyed, more took its place. "We can't hold them off much longer," Jorah shouted, her voice tinged with panic. "Fall back to the shuttle," Vren ordered. "We're out of time." As they retreated, the cathedral began to shake violently. The glowing fissures flared with a blinding green light, and the bound halted, their forms wavering. The air grew heavy, and an otherworldly hum filled the space. From the cathedral's entrance, Tessa emerged, but she was no longer just Tessa. Her form shimmered with the light of the glyph, her eyes glowing with an unnatural brilliance. The shadowy tendrils of the bound coiled around her but did not attack. They writhed as if bound to her will. "Tessa," Vren called cautiously, his weapon still raised. "It's me," she said, her voice layered with an ethereal resonance. "The veil. It's part of me now." The bound turned their attention to her, a low, guttural growl rumbling through the air. Tessa raised her hand, and the shadows froze mid-motion, writhing in pain as she channeled the veil's power. With a sweeping motion, she forced them back into the fissures, sealing them one by one. As the last shadow disappeared, the green glow began to fade, and the cathedral grew silent once more. Tessa sank to her knees, the weight of the veil's power still coursing through her but tempered by her will. Vren rushed to her side, gripping her shoulder. "You did it. The fissures are closed." Tessa looked up at him, exhaustion etched into her glowing features. "For now. The veil is restored, but it's fragile. I have to stay connected to it, or the bound will break free again." "What does that mean?" Hale asked, his voice uneasy. "It means she can't leave," Jorah said softly, realization dawning. Tessa nodded. "I'm part of the veil now. My place is here, maintaining the balance. If I leave, the galaxy falls." Vren's expression darkened, but he nodded. "Then we'll make sure the galaxy remembers what you've done." Tessa smiled faintly. "Keep fighting, and don't let them forget what's worth saving." As the crew boarded the shuttle, leaving the planet's surface behind, Tessa stood at the cathedral's entrance, a lone figure against the vast alien landscape. The Bound's whispers had quieted, but she knew they would always be there, waiting for any sign of weakness. She was the last line of defense, the keeper of the veil, and as the shuttle disappeared into the stars, Tessa turned her gaze to the horizon, ready to face whatever came next.